fam. Happy Friday.
All right. That was that was good.
Or should we do it again?
No, I think we roll with that one because that was.
How are you
that was
today?
Classic. Yeah, there we go, B-Fam.
I'm trying to be my dad today, if you can't tell.
That's a very great intro.
Like, before we started recording, she's like, I should do the intro. It's like, yeah, go for it.
I tried to explain it is a lot harder than it looks.
Well, it's because last time we did it, Dad was like, yeah. My hair flew back in the wind in my eyes. I had to get some eye
come
drops.
in hot on a fun Friday.
I mean, it's fun. We got to have fun. We take life too seriously all the time.
I said, if you greeted me like that in the morning,
You did.
I'd have a really great day.
Right.
Yeah, I got to work on that one because, yeah, it really kind of hit me like, dang, how do I greet her in the morning? It's like, man, goodness, I'm just really failing at this.
Well, you only have 3 more days till she travels back home.
So
So
sad.
That's so sad. None
we have her for a
Let's
short
keep this
period of
fun.
time. So we are here, and we are utilizing having some third insight into all things blended families.
I mean, we get to bring the stepdaughter, the bio daughter, just the blended daughter, but not just that. She is
blended, apparently.
She is now old enough to just be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, she was
That's
amazing
Great
before.
insight.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
If
now we
you're
get
wondering what's going
the
through
third
your kid's head,
Yeah, we get that third
We get
insight.
to know now.
Also, I'm so sorry if y'all can smell my perfume. I'm pretty much tasting it at this point.
Wow, you put it on thick, huh? All right, well,
That's what these water spots are.
well, that's good. I'd rather you smell like that than the other way. So
I
that's
guess you're
all
just
good.
apologizing to the 2 of us, right? Because those that
If
are
you can
listening
smell it
and see,
Yeah,
through
if
the
you can smell it through the
podcast.
camera, then.
If you can see it or smell it through the YouTube, then wow.
you're
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So,
Okay.
but there's no plug for any perfumes or anything. But
Not at all.
I honestly don't know what it's called.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the best. But this is going to be a great episode because we are talking about a fun idea you can use that is actually, it turned into a movement. It turned into a big movement that once we understood it or once we heard it, it was like, man, this kind of aligns with a lot of the things we believe, a lot of the things that we have talked about before, and you get to have a lot of fun. So it kind of is like a great...
And if you like outside, this episode's for you. If you struggle to get outside, this episode's for you. If your kids are always on their devices and you're like, ugh, how do I get them off my device? This episode is for you.
For you. I try to say it with you. This episode's for you.
Let's try that again. 1,
All 3 of us.
3.
This episode's for you.
Oh, we're so bad.
All right, this is going to be a good one. Y'all stay tuned.
Hopefully, you realized that regardless of where you're at, this episode is for you.
That is true. This is for you.
episode's for you. I
mean, we could sing it again together, but we won't. We'll spare you that.
Yeah.
I want to give you a little bit of how we came to this movement because it's one of those movements that has started slowly and is really expanding for us this year. And so we're sharing it with you as well. Yeah, I'm talking well. Anyways.
What is happening?
So I used to teach this class, and I might still get in the future, so I shouldn't say used to, but this class called Tinker Garden, which is an outdoor-based class for the family. You go out, and you're really just learning in nature. And through this class, which is like 1-year-olds to 5-year-olds, kind of like the basis of it, there were these families that were joining, and I kept hearing them talk about, oh, this counts as my 1,000 hours outside. And I'm like, what? What's 1,000 hours outside? And they began to explain to me that there's this movement of trying to get people outside, out of the house, off of devices and television, video games, phones, all of that, and get out into nature because nature has so much to offer. And we spend too much time inside.
Well, there's actually a lot of science that backs that, just with our psyche alone, that outside nature, the wind, the trees being, the grass, everything. Barefoot. Yeah, there's a story behind that one. But
going barefoot in grass helps anxiety.
there really is. I mean, you could Google it. You could look up a lot of the scientific effects of being outside, but there really does bring healing to us as human beings. and we don't get enough of it. I mean, seriously, if you think about maybe the past week, month that of your life, how often were you outdoors as compared to indoors?
Especially if it gets cold out, we're like, oh, heck no. And that's what I loved about Tinker Garden is it was all seasons.
Yeah.
So you were out in the snow. Here, you're like, it's raining. Do we cancel? And it's like, no, you play in the rain. What? Like when we were children and we would play. So you're right. And then there's mosquitoes or it's Texas heat. Like there's so many reasons not to go outside.
Yeah, we can have so many excuses. I think you were trying to get ready for a walk one day, and I'm like, yeah, the mosquitoes are really bad. And you're like, oh, shot down her dreams.
Mosquitoes are the only justifiable reason. I feel like. Because
they are horrible. They're huge. They're like
intense.
birds if you don't experience mosquitoes.
In South Texas, for sure. Yeah,
Texas,
South Texas, here by the beach, by the ocean, yeah, they get really bad. And honestly, I don't understand the reason for mosquitoes. I'm gonna ask God that one day. Whenever I get there, I'm gonna be like, God, seriously, mosquitoes? What?
I just watched an episode of VeggieTales, and
Oh,
all creatures, all of them have a purpose.
That's true. That's true.
In the church nursery. I was into it too. I was telling your dad. Anyways, so back to the focus.
As I'm swatting one on my arm. Oh, that was your purpose to die.
Our purpose here is to convince you that outside is good, and we're not doing a good job of that. We're talking about how horrible mosquitoes are.
Don't let mosquitoes get you down.
Well, but basically what we're saying is there's all kinds of excuses why we don't get outside, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can come up with 100, 1,000 excuses, and we're like, no, we'll just stay inside. But you know, one of my, just kind of talking today's times, because we have so much technology at our fingertips that it keeps us from being outdoors. It keeps us almost tied indoors so much, and you can see that everywhere you go. Everyone's glued to their phone. I remember walking down the college hallway and some students running into me because they're on their phone, not watching where they're walking, right? And we've all seen it. And I, still to this day, I'm passing by as I'm driving 80 miles down the interstate. Yeah, I do 80 and 75.
Like 80
yeah, because you can always do 5 over, right? I mean, come on. But, you're doing that. And as you pass by somebody, they're on their phone, doing 80 as well, maybe a little under 80. And it's like, seriously? So, I mean, we're always glued to our phones. And we don't get outdoors. We don't experience nature. We miss that side of it so much. Yeah. And that reminds me of a story of whenever y'all were young, Riley. And I think you and I, we were just dating or maybe recently married.
Oh, I hope this is a story I'm thinking about.
Oh, well, it was so funny because we were like, okay, y'all have got to go play outdoors, because they were always on their devices, little Game Boys, everything. And,
that's not what I was thinking.
We shoved y'all outside in the backyard because we had a trampoline and everything. We had a bigger backyard at that time, and it's like, y'all go play. And so, me and Scarlett were inside and everything, and then things just get quiet. When things get quiet as a parent, you're like, something's happening.
Okay, I know
that's not a good. That's not a good sign. What is going on? So we went to the back window and looked out, and all 3 of our kids were sitting in a circle on the trampoline on a device.
They had their devices on the
trampoline. Our phones weren't that good back in the day, but I so wish. I look back saying, I wish I had taken a picture of that, because it just paints an image of our society today, who we are today, that we even sometimes when we get outside, we miss outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I mean, even sometimes when I go for a walk and I'll start scrolling on my phone, and I'm like, oh, crap. Like, I'm missing the opportunity to just feel the air, like hear the sounds of nature, the birds, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it literally sucks you in. I fall into it all the time, especially on TikTok. That is like the biggest black hole of social media use, like, ever. And it reminds me of what y'all were talking about the other day, how or maybe we weren't, I don't know, but maybe I just thought
it was a conversation in your head.
But it's like I know I find myself doing this a lot, but I watch a lot of travel videos. I watch a lot of things like that kind of make me just really long to go and travel and do things like that, but by getting sucked into the algorithm of all of these travel videos that I'm watching now, it's like one after another, and I can't stop watching because I'm like living vicariously through these people, which then I come back to reality and I'm like, wow, there's 5 hours of just
that I missed of actually going and creating my own experiences.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's so much, even because I think sometimes we can get in our head like, oh, if I had somewhere beautiful like that to visit, but even in your own town, like there's so much in like a, you know, maybe a 10-mile radius of you. But then even if you do, like you start exploring all of that and then being able to get outside of that and just, you know, drive a little bit further and just start expanding that way. But it doesn't even have to, it could be your own backyard. It could be around your block. It could be a
local park or something.
Yeah, a park. It could be taking something that you would normally do indoors and taking it outside. But that's where this movement really just got started, where she had young kids and she was like, man, her and her husband were having this like deep conversation about like how they were going to state parks and stuff, and they were seeing like how empty these state parks were, and they're like, why, when there's so much beauty all around us? So they began to challenge themselves, right? It starts with us, and they began to do that in their own home and their families. Oh, from the book.
You said it starts with those. It made me think about
we're in our book club that we said in one of our fun Fridays. We are currently reading It Starts With Us.
Yes,
so I triggered her word right there.
You did.
But it starts with ourselves, right? Well, that's how movements start. So us as a family, like as I began to embrace this more and have these conversations, and then just inviting Riley in on it, and you know, Randall loves the great outdoors as well. And so talking with each other, like
the movie. I do love the movie, but
I did not even know that was a movie.
John Candy.
And we will be watching that movie.
His last name is Candy?
Yeah. You don't know
Wow.
John? I have failed as a parent.
Do you know John Candy?
Yes, I do. He was in the prime during our growing up days.
Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna expose you to that later. But we're not talking about the movie The Great
from
Outdoors.
our 1,000 Hours Outside.
That is true. That is true.
Let's do an outdoor movie with the projector.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, but
continue.
yeah, so it's starting like, okay, well, how can we be just more intentional of having this time outside, which is great when someone already else has a movement. Like you can just jump in on the things that they are doing, right? And so we are sharing that movement with you today. We are starting it ourselves. Like when I started following all the pages last year, because they have a podcast, they have an Instagram page, they have YouTube, a book just came out as well. Like they have all of these resources. So I first just began to start following them on Facebook. And the thing I saw as this year was coming to a close, people were starting to say like, oh man, I didn't get all the way to 1,000 hours, or I'm getting my last, few hours in for my 1,000 hours outside. And all the comments were just so positive, people flooding in and saying, it's not about necessarily getting that 1,000 and beating yourself up if you don't spend 1,000 hours outside. It's about you're going to spend at least so much more time
than you
maybe
would have
half.
before.
Even if you spent 500 hours outside, which sounds like a whole lot of hours outside, it's still more than if you were not being intentional about it.
Yeah, and we bring this up because being a blended family, a step family, this is something that helps build those relationships, right? The more things we do together, the more experiences we create together, it creates stronger bonds. It creates our relationships. It's like any friendship, right? It takes time to grow, but you got to spend time together for it to grow. And so this is one of these ideas that you can use to really help aid that. And what a powerful thing in a blended family that helps just really merge all of you. And we always say when you do something new, you do something that you don't normally do, it's outside a routine, it creates such a stronger bond. It creates stronger memories that last forever. These are the ones that you can think back on and say, wow, I remember that. Whereas a lot of the other stuff you don't remember. You don't remember doing or anything.
It's just another day. Well, and that's what I was in a training one time, and it was on the power of play with young kids. but it had us as teachers, and we're anywhere from our 20s to like our 60s, 70s in this room, and they had asked us to share an experience of a time that we just enjoyed playing. And we went around the room and we all told stories, and almost all of the stories, I won't say it was 100%, involved childhood playing outside. And the smiles, like the person that was instructing us, they were like, y'all's faces lit up when you began to tell these stories about how your mom would shove you outside and lock the door and say, don't come back till it gets dark, kind of thing. So just curious, Riley, if we asked you, like, what is your favorite memory outdoors? Like playing outside?
Playing outside? I mean,
what else did you do
what
outside?
I was thinking.
Were you working outside?
I was doing all the chores my parents made me do.
Raking
leaves, mowing the grass. I hated outdoors.
No, I think my most favorite memories are outside. Like when y'all were talking just now, it made me think of the trip that we took with some of our family friends, and we were camping out there, and it was miserable. Like it was.
Oh, the year you got the horrible sunburn.
Oh, well, I wasn't talking about that one, but that was actually a really good one too. But we went camping at like where Brazos Bend or something, and we were little, and we went with some family friends, and it was so freaking hot. Like I remember,
I always have these great ideas to camp during the summer.
Terrible timing.
So hot, but I remember having so
joke.
much fun. Like we played with squirrels, like we fed squirrels, and then like just climbing trees. There was just so much, and I feel like we really didn't do that much, but it's like a really positive memory for me.
I feel like a lot of your conversations when you come back from your mom's too, I feel like it was probably you spent more time outside at your mom's with your siblings. I mean, and I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, we did.
But I felt like your stories always involved y'all being outside. Right?
Oh, we were always outside. There's this one memory that me and my sister laugh about a lot, is because we had this. I love how like in a child's mind you can take the most mundane things and turn it into something magical. But there was like this, or our driveway at this house in Alabama, there's like a lot of hills and stuff, so the incline's a little bit different and things like that, but there was almost a little bit more of a rise in the grass, so like the driveway kind of dipped in a little bit, and then you had like this grass rise. I don't really know how to explain it, but anyways, it was perfect when it rained because there was like a mud puddle, and so me and my sister we would get like this water hose and we would fill it up. We would fill up this little like dip in the driveway, and then we would sit in it and like rub the mud all over us.
Mud bath.
And then we would rub it on our skin and be like, oh, it's so good for our skin, like not even knowing like
at the spa that's actually a thing.
Yeah, we're at the spa. And then we kind of stopped doing it after. I think our mom didn't really like the idea of us rubbing mud all over each other because we would get so dirty from it. So she told us, like, actually, the mud gives you worms. So we kind of stopped playing in it after that. Yeah.
Then I remember from my childhood this moment of where we had these big, I think it was like horseshoe pits, but they got really dug in. And we got so muddy. And we were slipping, sliding into the holes. And it's just this, like, just core memory of, like, with my dad. And then I remember when we got together, like, you were working on a house or something, and you and one of your cousins had just had this whole like outdoor mud experience too, right?
No, that was actually some work for it.
Yeah,
I was like working on their house, and it was their kids. And so all three of them, they got outside. It had been raining, and the front yard was so muddy. I mean, just a big mud pit. And they started getting in there, slipping and sliding and throwing mud, and us and the parents were just kind of like, we're watching. And then we took pictures, and they came out just covered in mud, and it was the funniest thing. Normally, as a parent, I would frown on that. But, in that moment, they were having so much fun, and we were laughing and, just watching them.
It's so, I mean, just all the memories, just us talking about it. Like, me being a child, like, our ditches would fill up, and we had this, like, surfboard that we would go, like, ride the ditch of the surfboard, but then we would dig in and get crawfish. And pull like crawfish out of their like little homes and stuff. Like so many like great things. And now it just, when we raised the kids, I just felt like it was always like, well, you'll get sick if you go out when it's raining. Like, who started that rumor? I don't know.
I think it's just a parent thing, it's like it's messy or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, there's so many. And I mean, I had the same thing. I remember me and my brother, we were always outside. We were outside more than we were inside. We were just outside people. Kickball was our biggest thing. Me and him would play kickball together, and we'd have ghost men to hold our spots and everything. I mean, it was just a blast. We were always outside. So yeah, just great memories there. But let's go ahead and break this down. Let's see what this looks like and talk a little bit more about the movement and kind of share more of how us as blended families, we can take this and capitalize on the fun and just the health, really, for our family and for ourselves that we can have from that. So let's do that right after this break. It's time to have some more blended family fun. Yeah, are you ready?
What was that?
I've been really working on this song. What do you think?
Sure. It's great, babe.
Well, it goes along with how to enjoy your blended family. The 5 dates to discover fun in your step family, the greatest thing since sliced bread for blended families.
Okay, I get it now. I feel your excitement. But why don't you tell them about it instead of singing it to them?
Wow. Okay, shut me down. Why don't you? All right, let me try. When you have more fun together, you see less blended family drama. But we can get so caught up in life and problems that we miss out on really enjoying our family. So we'll walk you through 5 dates where you'll discover more fun your family loves and have a great plan to keep it going. How's that?
Pretty good. Short and sweet. I know that got them way more excited about all the fun possibilities they can experience with their family than your song did.
What? Seriously?
Well, you could have also told them that it not only creates more fun in their whole family doing this, but it also adds more fun in their marriage and gives them new ways to connect with their kids individually. It's also great for building that step-parent relationship. You could have said all that too.
I don't think you really appreciated all the work that I put in on that song.
Anyways, How to Enjoy Your Blended Family, 5 Dates to Discover Fun in Your Step Family is available for you today. Discover more fun and you'll see less problems. The link to get started is in the show notes of this episode.
Have more fun with your blended family and go on these 5 dates today. You'll be so glad you did. Yeah, yeah.
Really? You had to go there again. Let's get back to this episode.
So, okay, we're talking 1,000 hours outside and how good that can be. But, whenever I'm a math guy, so whenever I heard that, I'm like, okay, 1,000 hours outside. That sounds like a lot of hours, but how much is that? So I'm breaking it down, right? I'm like, I bust out the calculator because that's my personality.
I've been following this a year, and I have yet to think what that actually looks
like. Once I first heard that, I'm like, okay, well, how much is that? How much is that a week? So I broke that down, and it comes to a little over 19 hours a week outside is what that equates to. Then I'm like, okay, well, 19 hours a week. Wow, that still sounds like a lot because that's like half a work week that you're spending outside, right? Because we normally work 40 hours a week is the social norm. And I'm like, okay, well, what would that break down to a day? What would we break that down? So you break it down, and it's almost 3 hours a day outside.
3 hours? See, that does sound like a lot.
Almost,
Really?
almost
I feel
3
like that's
hours
not
a
bad.
day. Yeah, outside. So
Well, I mean, I guess if you don't get home from
challenge.
school, though, I guess what I'm thinking, if you don't get home from school till after 3, and then it gets dark like 5:30 or 6.
Oh, yeah, right now.
So just depending on the time of year, and I'm sure that if you're spending weekends, you're able to stay
But
outside.
even so, we're breaking it down like that.
Never mind, don't do 1,000. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but you sit there and you say, well, that's impossible. 3 hours a day. I can't do 3 hours a day. But what if, say, you get outside of school, like school's over, and you'll spend 1 hour a day, and you got 5 hours, and then you tack on the rest on Saturday and Sunday. You spend more
that's a good idea.
hours
Yeah.
on Saturday and Sunday outside than you would inside. So, it is, it is doable. There is a way that we can do that, but we're just being more intentional. And really, that's kind of this whole BFAM movement, right? We call it a blended family movement that we talk about, but it's being more intentional. It's being more proactive instead of reactive in our families. And so it's thinking about this and saying, okay, well, if we're going to if we want to, say we want to accept this challenge and we want to do more things as a family outdoors, okay, well, how can we make this happen? How can we sit there and make this a part of our family dynamics now?
Yeah, and that is really planning out your week, right? Because as you're talking and thinking about me kind of following this over the last year and really having no idea of what does that even look like on a regular daily basis. And the heart of it too is that it's not really structured things outside, as far as it's not just you're going to soccer practice and you're playing soccer, but you're using that time, like Randall's talking about, to bond, like Riley was talking about, getting creative, doing these things outdoors. So how do we make that happen? And we make that happen by scheduling things out, right?
Yeah.
Looking at our time and saying, okay, you get off at 5 o'clock, by the time we wrap up homework, before we start with dinner or whatever that looks like, and saying, okay, what is a good time for us to be able to get out as a family? If you can get everybody outside, then great. If it comes down to okay, maybe somebody doesn't get off work in time and it's just you and the kids or whatever getting outside, but finding these ways that you can work it into the day-to-day stuff that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked how you were saying too, even if it is dark outside when you get off, maybe planning things that you can do in your backyard together, watching a movie outside or something like that.
Capture the flag, man. That was at night. Capture the flag.
Capture the flag.
That's what I'm talking about.
But there was, you had read even on there about the health of kids just doing play, unstructured play outside. That there is benefits to that, right? And, all of us, we shared stories of, and you as a listener too, thinking about, okay, well, what were some of my fondest memories outside? And I would guarantee most, kind of like you in that room of people, it was kid stories when you were a kid, right? Because there is so much health to getting out there and just letting your imagination run wild, letting your imagination in the outdoors just kind of flourish, and nurturing that and giving that time, setting aside time just to go out there and say, let's just be outside and see what happens. And doing that with your kids, doing that, no matter what age they are, but just going outside and hanging out and seeing what happens, not necessarily having to have a plan, but just get out there and see what evolves. Maybe it's a tree or leaves or an animal that kind of catches your attention and sparks something. But, if there's that much benefit for kids to do that, how much benefit is that even for us as parents, us as adults to, go out there and just kind of no plan, just be outdoors and enjoy that and see what comes from that and let our imagination start running wild. Because I think the older we get, the more we shut that off.
Yeah.
We just close the faucet off.
Yeah, and one of the things that's on their page, their website and stuff, that's promoting the 1,000 hours outside, and one of the beginning things that really pulled me in is how to raise a genius. And it's built on those experiences, and the more that we give these experiences, like you're saying, getting out there, being creative. And I think sometimes the teacher in me or the parent in us, we have such a fixed mindset, it has to look this way or this is what the play looks like. But really giving an item or sparking an idea and then see where it goes.
Yeah.
Let them get creative with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. Y'all are talking enjoying everything as kids. I'm thinking shoot, nature just brings me so much peace now. I just love it. And there's just so many times, because I just moved away, so I really don't have any friends or anything like that. I really don't know anybody yet. So
we're your friends.
Yeah, but we don't live there with her. So.
True. But before the time change, I would go out to the park and just read, like, you know, bring a book and read on there's like this little hill, so it's almost like the picture perfect like movie moment. But I'll bring a blanket and like sit on the bottom of this hill, like right in front of the lake, and just, you know, just sit there, and that's when I'm like my happiest. And then the story of where I took my brother and we almost got lost. Oh my god. So I'm like, the littlest things make me the happiest. And I had seen this thing on Instagram where there was like a waterfall in my location, and I kept telling my sister, I was like, we've got to go to this, like, I just want to see this waterfall. So finally, she took me one day, and it was like this hike, honestly, through this mountain, like terrain, whatever, to get to this waterfall. And my sister's just not an outdoor person. It's not like her first choice. So I had my little brother with me, and he's all boy, so he's all outside. And so we're running through these woods to get to this waterfall, and we finally get there, but I wasn't paying attention on, you know, necessarily like
where you're at.
Where I was, which wasn't the smartest thing.
You get that from me.
But yeah, I was so excited. I actually called my sister as soon as we got out of this tiny trail to go into a larger one that actually led to the waterfall. I called her at that moment, and I was like, we found the waterfall. And so I wasn't paying attention at all. But then on our way back, you know, the waterfall was amazing. It made me so happy. It made my little brother happy. We were enjoying every moment of it. And we really only saw it for a few minutes, honestly, because it was starting to get dark. So we were like, we got to get out of these woods. But on our way back, we almost got lost. And at the time, it was scary. But looking back at it now, having made it out, it made it feel like, you know.
Here to tell the story.
Here to tell the story now that I survived. It's like one of the best memories. Like, I really love looking back at that memory and being like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually did that. I'm so glad that I did that, you know?
When, like, y'all were chasing the sun setting, right? Y'all were trying to get back
Before it was dark.
the
We were
sunset,
running.
so y'all were
Yeah.
laughing and like rushing, and we have a lot of listeners that have teenage boys, and they struggle with connecting with them in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how old is your brother now?
He's 13.
He's 13, and like she said, he is all boy. And if you're looking for one of those ways to connect with your child or your stepchild during this season of their life, especially, and your brother loves video games too, so it's not like
he does.
like, you know, doesn't, like, he's all boy and doesn't like his game system and stuff.
Yeah.
But to be able to create these moments of where you're getting them outside and creating these moments and bonding with that is so powerful. And this is just one of those ways that we talk about here all the time of finding those common interests. Like, she likes being outside, he likes being outside. Let's go find something that we can do outside. And then as you're exploring, you're making these moments that y'all are going to look back years, decades from now and remember.
Yeah.
Well, and it's even, I think it's, we see the device, we see our kids on our devices are trapped in their room, and we just assume, well, they don't want to do anything else because they're always into video games. So that's their whole life. But what we've come to really see is when we present these opportunities for an alternative, it's like, hey, let's go check out this park, or let's go do that. Yeah, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
and so, but there's so many times, even us as adults, we don't create those opportunities, right? But I think the more that we're intentional on it, the more we are putting this on our calendar or schedule and saying, okay, on this Saturday, you know, during the morning, maybe right after breakfast, we're just going to go check this out or go check out this park or something, and getting the kids involved. Man, you're now spending quality time together that you just cherish.
Yeah.
And kind of like you were doing, you know, those are just some great ideas, that there are things in our hometown that, you know, even if you live in a small hometown, there's some type of park. You know, there's always something there, or sometimes it's a short drive from where you're at to go find a bigger park. And then maybe you live close to a national park. We've been to a few national parks that are just mind-blowing.
Yeah, they're
the
so
things
huge,
that you
yeah.
can do that you can't see everything in a day. So it's really trying to capitalize on some of
Take
those
the bikes out
moments.
there, take a picnic out
Yeah,
there.
pack a lunch.
I know we've
Yeah.
been working on our bucket list for 2023, and so one of the things is, you know, spending 1,000 hours outside. So I just spent some time on Google school, and I did parks near me or bike trails near me and made a list of them. Some I've heard of course, and we've done before, and some I was like, wait, what? Now we may, because I know we've explored one before near us that we didn't know it even existed there. We rode our bikes, and then we went the extra mile into this trail. And it was really cool because at the end of it, we saw all these deer.
Yeah.
We were like, what are those people looking at? So we got off our bikes and walked off the trail a little bit, and there were deer here. I mean, we live in the city, and there were deer. And so it's cool. You don't ever know, like, there's these like little hidden gems, even in the cities.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool about, like, I remember you saying how you did the aerial view of New York City and how, like, you can see that strip of park, like, right there. It's like they have carved out these, like, beautiful places for us to visit, even inside cities.
Yeah. So, for sure.
No,
I was gonna say, like, even some ideas that are coming to mind now is like, I also did the same thing with my little brother. We've gone to 2 different parks now when he comes down and visits, but maybe it looks something like, you know, just Googling that park near you and bring a board game out there and y'all play a board game together, or bring some canvases and y'all paint a picture together, something like that. Like, make some kind of activity out of it, even if you can't really travel super far or anything like that. Just making the most of where you're at also brings those really fundamental,
like, taking your ordinary inside task and bringing them outside, or going outside and having no agenda and just having fun and exploring, like, both options.
Just amazing idea, right? It does. It gets us more outdoors, gets us just, man, I'm telling you, there's so much goodness that comes from being outside. So really taking this idea, this kind of new year, and what a great way to kind of look at this year and say, hey, let's start something new this year. Let's do something as a family together. And that's what we love doing as we always say, as a step family, as a blended family, we don't call ourselves, hey, we're a step family. We always get that disclaimer, but we're just using that terminology to connect with everyone, to let you know that this is.
And on that, just real quick before you wrap it up, because I could tell you're in your wrap-up voice.
I'll put on a wrap-up
You're
voice.
in your wrap-up voice.
I am in a wrap-up voice.
It's because if it is overwhelming, like Randall was saying, and there's, so many hours, and how do you even keep track of that, right? Like, you have a little spreadsheet, that's what Randall would create. But they already have created, things in this movement.
Yeah, that is cool.
Of 1,000 hours outside. And there's so many different kinds. This one is just this cool. I like it because it has this, like, Aztec-y looking tapestry looking to it, but it has all these little tiny squares, and it's breaking it up for your first 100, your second 100, all the way around the circle till you get your 1,000. And after you spend your hour, you just color in one of those little tiny squares. And so at the end of it, even if you don't complete all of it in the year, or it takes you a year and a half to complete it, like, you have something to keep track of it, because it is like, if you were trying to write down 1,000
Well, it's the accountability, right? We got to have accountability, and that's a great way to help keep your family accountable, and maybe
motivated.
Motivated. You're putting that up on your fridge or something to where you all see it, and as a family, you're coming in and coloring it in, or whatever, whatever that looks like. But having some type of accountability is key. But check her out. It's Jenny Urich, 1,000 Hours Outside. You can Google her. She's got a book out. But we just kind of stumbled on her. I think, like you said, you've been following her for about a year now. And this is just something personally for our family that we do. We want to get more outdoors. And I'm looking even myself that I work a whole lot more indoors now. My job is more indoors, and I don't get out a lot. And that can really affect your mood, especially if you're an outdoors person. So that's something to think about. Maybe you're like, dang, my husband's so grouchy, or my wife, golly, she just won't let go. Well, maybe they're outdoor people and they're not getting outside.
No, but it really does make a difference, because I'm thinking about it now, and my job is 100% remote right now. And remote means I stay home all the time. So
you're, like, trapped inside your house.
Yeah, I'm trapped inside my house. And before, when I first moved, I would go out to coffee shops and things like that, and it was really nice. It was a refreshing experience. But I think here recently I've become super introverted, more like even personally, which is not typically my personality. I'm typically very outgoing and just outdoorsy in general, but now it's like I'm so almost miserable. Like I almost don't, it's hard for me to find joy right now, because I don't go out. Like I don't experience things anymore. And so it does really affect your mood. Like, especially if you do have a work from home job, make sure that you're taking that time to intentionally go outside. And maybe it is looking like going to a coffee shop, or maybe you can go to a coffee shop and sit outside in the outside seating area, you know, something like that, to where you're also bringing your work outside and breathing in the fresh air, you know, kind of getting your mind back on track. But seriously, like that seriously has affected my mood. So by doing this 1,000 hours, I think, you know, it's gonna help refresh and
bring that joy.
Yeah.
But that's one thing we don't think about. Why, you know, it's why am I so miserable?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's it. Maybe we're just not spending enough time outside. So yeah, good thoughts, good points. But try it out. You know, use this as just something that your family can do. Print out some of their resources, or, you know, just think about being outside more and how can we as a family do that. And when you do, I'm telling you, you're going to really strengthen your family relationships. Maybe you're having issues trying to connect with your stepkid. Y'all get outside more. That could really help.
Yeah, and they have a free starter pack too. You just sign up with your email and it gives you all these prompts. So if you're one that's like, well, I don't even know what to do out there, it gives you ideas as well. So you're not doing this alone. You know, you don't have to be super creative, but it gives you those ideas.
Yeah. And we'll continue sharing things on our Insta and Facebook, just kind of whenever we get outside and do things, just to kind of help keep that in the forefront of our minds. But man, great stuff. So 1,000 hours outside.
We should have recorded this outside.
It could. We should have recorded it outside. Oh my! I'm gonna play and listen to it outside. How's that?
Yeah. Well, now we're getting to look outside and I'm watching the squirrel run up in the tree. So that is true.
So listen, guys, just another great idea that we have stumbled on that we're going to use in our family, make us more accountable for it because we know the power in it. So take it, use it. We love you, all the B-Fams out there. Y'all have a great Friday, a great weekend. Go outside. Go outside and hang out a little bit this weekend. It's good for you.
Amen.
So we'll see you on the next episode. Later.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode has been a blessing and encouraged your family journey.
Make sure you stay connected with us and join our weekly Blended Family newsletter. We send an email out every Friday morning full of support and encouragement.
And when you join, we also want to give you a free gift. So go get yours today. The link is in the show notes below.
Have an amazing day. Remember to enjoy the journey with your blended family, and we'll see you on the next episode.